I was conversing with a friend of mine last night. He had called me. He had asked me that. He said, "I've been trying to find those videos," and I'm like, "Which one?" He said, "The." He said, "You remember when you came back after you were homeless a little bit?" I said, "Oh, you mean those suffering B songs?" He said, "Yeah. Where are those videos?" I said, "They're they're in my collection." I said, "Most likely, you can find both of them in my collaborated video selection." And so he hung up and he called me back. He said, "Those are not in your collaborated videos." He said, "I had to almost go all the way down to the bottom to find them." Told him, I said, "Wow, I could have sworn I put those together." And I was curious. I said, "So what's up with those?" He said, "Hey Dave, I just came out of a very similar situation like that." And he said that what Bruce Lee said in your studies of him is very true. There is no help but self-help. He said, because if you look at the world today, the world is becoming a whole lot more cruel and selfish, you know. And so he said, I just came out of that. He said, I won't say same situation. He said, but my situation was very similar to yours, to where, you know, for a long time, you managed to put yourself around people that you think care at least a little bit about you. But circumstances reveals a whole lot of things when it comes to people. He said, so I wanted to sit up and watch those, He said, because I just got back in my place and everything. He said, I couldn't help but to think of your videos when I was going through, all of that. He said, and really, when I was out there in that same position that you were in, he said, I was looking for those videos. He said, but I guess I didn't have enough patience to find them. He said, I didn't go down deeper enough to find him. So I told him, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and collaborate those, and I'm just gonna re-upload those so it'll be easier for people like yourself to find, but I congratulated him. I'm like, wow, man, it's a shame that it's the majority of the time it's the people that you think is closest to you are the furthest away from you. So the people who are the furthest away from you already know where they stand. It's the people that are closest to you, to where you think you know where they stand, but you find out otherwise. So when it all boils down to it, it all falls right into our hands. There is no help but self-help. You have to only help yourself and be responsible, and don't put yourself in a position so much that you have to depend on someone else doing anything for you in order for you to either stay afloat or survive. There's no help but self-help. Dependency is never a good thing. So I told him that I was just going to go ahead and re-upload those so that it'll be easier to find those. So that being said, I greet everybody a good evening and stay tuned. How's everyone this evening? I was going to do a part two of the previous video that I put up not too long ago, which is about the west side of Las Vegas. I moved not too long ago into this new place, And actually, before I started this video, I was testing the audio. And so by this being a new place, I haven't gotten to know exactly how to adjust my volume and the audio around me as yet. So I was just asking you to bear with me when it comes to the echo effect. But I just wanted to talk to you about something very important that I've learned not too long ago, which is one of the primary reasons why, oh, there go that word primary again. But one of the reasons why I haven't been making videos for a while. I had ran into some issues with the person who I was staying, and it was a lot. It was a lot going on. So I had to get out of there. And it's one of the reasons why this video is titled "Suffer It Be So. There is no help but self-help." Now, when I was 12 years old, I read one of Bruce Lee's books of his philosophy of life. Because see, to me, Bruce Lee was a lot more than just kung fu punches and kicks. Once I was coming up in Chicago, and I was first introduced to Bruce Lee by my uncles. We had went out to the drive-in in Chicago, and I first seen a preview of Chinese Connection. And it struck me so much, I asked my uncles, "Who is that?" And they told me who it was. They said it was Bruce Lee. And so from that point on, I was very much interested in Bruce Lee. And so as time went on, I used to go downtown and see all of his movies and everything. But then I started picking up books. And I bought this one book that he wrote himself called The Toe of Jeet Kune Do, which is a book of the basic fundamentals of the martial arts that he created called Jeet Kune Do. And what I noticed inside of the book, even though he was explaining different techniques and everything, there were some passages in there where I picked up on his mind and his philosophy of not only fighting, but life itself. And so after I got done studying that book, I wanted to try to find a book on Bruce Lee that was strictly about his philosophy in life. And so as I was moving on to, I was getting different books on his philosophy of life. And so from that point on, I governed myself in the light of how he understood life and how he understood the human body and everything. So I got into martial arts. I didn't always eat right, but it had gotten to the point to where I took martial arts very seriously, as a whole lot of people in my neighborhood when I was coming up in Chicago had saw that. And of course, there were some people who teased me for it, but that's all they did, because they knew if they would try to challenge me, they would just get destroyed, because I wasn't your average martial artist. I wasn't your average martial artist. I was a very good martial artist, and I was a savage. I didn't care. And so, but what mostly moved me and saved me was his philosophy in life. And so as time went on, he would always stress self-help. Help yourself, and don't look for anyone to do anything for you. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. And so as time went on, I don't want to move too fast, but as time went on, I started to observe a whole lot of my friends in my community and people who wasn't a part of our particular community on a regular basis, but people who I went to school with who didn't live in our section, I saw a lot of people getting involved with drugs, um, um, alcoholism. They started getting a whole lot of young ladies pregnant, and therefore they was getting involved in relationships at a young age, and it didn't work out for them too well because they brought a whole lot of children into the world that ended up going astray because the parents were too, I would say, young and immature in order to raise the children properly. And so while all of that was going on, I was going downtown Chicago watching his movies, and my entire focus came on martial arts and reading books on philosophy. Of course, I read the Bible. I touched on a Quran, and I went up in my Aunt Ruth's attic, and up there was a multitude of books because it looked like a big library. I think I mentioned this before, but there was a older Jewish man who owned her home before she did, and I think they said that he was 83 years old when he passed away. And so he didn't have any family left. And so what they did, they put the house up for sale. And my Aunt Ruth and her Uncle Bill bought the home. And so what happened was they cleaned out the bottom part of the home before they sold it. And this man built a stairway to the attic that was built into his closet. So it's like if you went into his closet and if you wanted to go to the attic, you would have to move his clothes out of the way and take 2 steps, and there was a door there. And when you opened up the door, there was a stairway this way to the attic. And when you went upstairs to the attic, you saw rows and rows of books upon every area, pretty much every area of life, local and overseas. So this man did a whole lot of traveling and studying. And one day my aunt asked me to take some boxes upstairs to that attic. And so when I took the first box up there, I saw these books and I just froze. I'm like, books, books. And she noticed that it took me so long to come back downstairs. And so she said, DA, you know, everyone in my family calls me DA, but David Anthony. So she said, DA, what's taking you so long? And I didn't answer because I was stuck because books. And, you know, I was an avid and voracious reader. You know, I have this huge thirst for information. And so she came upstairs and I was standing there in a trance looking at these books. So I was standing there and I was like in this trance staring at these books. And she said, DA, what's wrong with you? And I just said, books, books. She said, yeah, books. You know, and she noticed that I was obsessed with books. And so, and I've always been like that. And so, but one of the things that stood out for me is when he said, there is no help but self-help. It stood out to me, but I understood it intellectually, but what I've been through recently really opened up my eyes to what that actually means. And I've said in my previous videos of how Yeshua's message is a message of self-examination. And I'll say again, it's a message of self-examination to the degree, once you understand it and observe yourself and come to realize that the gifts that you have inside are the ones that you're always asking the Creator to give you. And what is meant by that is, I go back again. He said, go and sin no more. The Beatitudes and all of the other scriptures in the Bible where it's dealing with self-help. Even when it said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and heal your land. This is not speaking of Yeshua doing anything for you. This is not speaking of the Creator doing anything for you. The Creator is saying, if you would do this and turn from your wicked ways, then I will hear you, and I will pour down to you blessings of healing and restoration and guidance, all of those things. It is a message of self-redemption, to observe yourself, see what the flaws are, find out what your gifts are inside that have already been placed there. Use those gifts in order to resolve your inner conflicts and your inner shortcomings, so that you will be able to recognize the divine in you, so that you may be able to move forward in divinity, humility, intelligence, and to be able to help yourself. Now, I had a friend that I grew up with in Chicago who's now a pastor who calls himself a prophet, so I don't communicate with him. But when I was coming up in Chicago, he knew that I was a big fan of Bruce Lee. He knew it. Now that he becomes a pastor, he threw in my face one day that Bruce Lee was an atheist, but you know he was an atheist. I could care less if he was an atheist or not. You know, because to me, all of the people who I've come to know who are quote unquote atheists are the most honest people that you will ever meet. It's the people who are in these religious sects who say that they're honest, but they're nothing but a bunch of liars. They're nothing but a bunch of liars. You know, you're supposed to be the good people. You're supposed to be the religious good people. You're supposed to be the people who are of the divine. However, you have to follow commandments and you have to be up under a law, which means you're liars, because you're only demonstrating what is right because you're under a law and you're commanded to do so. So without getting into that, as I've done before, I too recently went through something that showed me exactly the meaning of there is no help but self-help. Again, I bring up Georgia. When I went to Georgia and I found out that this woman, Salam Yima, was a big liar. She was just a manipulator. She just wanted to use people, you know, for financial gain, financial security. You give up everything. You move to Georgia because you were disappointed in things here in Las Vegas on the way that people treat you. And so you get on a plane, you fly all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, so that you can venture to Lithonia, Georgia, so that you can get married and you settle your life and all of that romantic bullshit. I'm just gonna say it. And so that blows up in your face. You get betrayed. That blows up in your face. Then you move out of there and you move into a house where you're renting a room from one of your coworkers. You find out she was eager to give up her and her kids' space for you because all she wanted to do was lay with you and have more babies. And so when I refused to have a relationship with her, that's when our hell broke loose. So she made it difficult for me to live there. You know, I was surrounded by people who do drugs, kept a whole bunch of conflict going, and kept a whole bunch of discord. So I got out of there, and a Jehovah's Witness, older gentleman that I knew out there, Brother Charles, had helped find another place for me, which was another Jehovah's Witness group. So I moved in there, and I think it was like a week or so after being there, I find out this man is possibly gay. He uses drugs and he drinks. And so it took me some time to get out of there. So I come back to Las Vegas with very little funds. And so my this guy who I used to consider a brother, he said I can come back and stay with him. So I stayed with him. He helped me get a job at a security place after I left this one security place who was messing around with my money. I won't mention any names because I don't want nobody suing me, and I ain't gonna pay you. I ain't gonna pay y'all anything anyway. So it really don't matter. But I come to find out after he took my portion of the rent for 2 months, which was $585. He saved it and he left for Alabama. And so I went down to the manager's office after I talked to him and he told me where he was. I asked them, what's going on with this rent? You know, I mean, are we behind? And they say, well, you know, they told me how much the rent was. It was $2,700 or something like that. And I asked the manager, how did it get so high? And he told me that he hasn't paid the rent in 2 months. And so that put me in a position to where not only did he leave the place, I had to give up the place because I couldn't afford to pay that much money up front. And so I asked her, why is it so high? Anyway, you know, and then she printed out the lease, and I'm looking down at the lease, and the rent was nothing but $885 a month. When he told me that the rent was how much? $1,054 a month. So for almost a year and a half, he purposely overcharged me for my stay there. So I move out of there, and this guy who was from the same neighborhood as I won't mention his name, but he lived at the complex of where I was working. So he said, Dave, you can stay here. You know, he said, at least you don't have to burn a whole lot of gas going back and forth. But what he was charging me for one bedroom was ridiculous. He was charging me $1,100 to rent one room, and it had a bathroom in it, $1,100, while his rent was no more than, what was it, like $1,400? And he was on the CHAPS program. So he didn't even have to work to pay his rent. He didn't have to work. The only person that was in there working was myself. Then he had another guy who was coming in and out, in and out. So every time I turned around, I had to pull all my things out of the restroom to accommodate this guy and his wife. And so at the time, the security company that I was working for wasn't paying a whole lot, so I had to suffer that. And then when I would tell him, you know, I'm tired of sharing my restroom with these people. What's going on? How come they can't share yours? He told me, you're paying for the room. You're not paying for the restroom. $1,100. And so anyway, he ended up getting evicted because he wasn't supposed to have anyone there living with him because he was in the chapter program. So I made certain that they found out that I was staying there. Now you can look at me all kinds of any way you want to. I don't really care. But nobody is gonna screw over me and take advantage of me because I put up with a lot of humiliation every time I turned around. You know, you work and every 2 weeks you get paid. You giving some grown ass man $500, $600 out of every paycheck in order to please him. And the only thing he want to do is just lay around and do absolutely nothing. Now, when you're paying for the Wi-Fi and you paying your portion of the rent, where is the money gonna come from where you're putting money aside in order for you to move out of that condition? There is none, so you're stuck. And this is somebody who looks like you, come up in the same neighborhood. So after he got evicted, I was going to sleep in my car because I felt so liberated of getting away from him because I'm the type of person to where I can't be around people a whole lot, especially people who betray me, you know, because my intentions are always good towards people, always good towards people. Even though I'm going to find some way to retaliate against you if you screw over me. If I don't put my hands on you and harm you physically, I'm going to use my intelligence to get you back one way or the other. So this guy that I knew all of my life, he's like a family though, and he's still a family. And I only say that is because I know that his decision was not his own. So he asked me, what are you going to do? I said, I'm gonna sleep in my car, bro. I got a car. He said him and his wife had talked and they told me that it was okay for me to come there and stay there for a little while until I get on my feet. Now, a couple of months before that, I started another job that was paying me better. And so when I moved over there, I was sleeping in their garage, in the back seat of my car. I wasn't taking up any space inside the home. I was in the garage, sleeping in the back seat of my car. And I told everyone on this YouTube channel that I'm a very transparent person because I believe that my life has a whole lot of lessons in it. So I don't have an ego. I don't have any pride to bruise. I'm only interested in sharing what I went through and what I've learned from it. Now, the rest, you can deal with yourself on that. But as I go forward, I stayed there for, let's see, a couple of months. I was trying to put some money away. And so they said that we get you to the end of April. I said, that's cool. I said, because the end of April is pretty much all I need. And so previously, before that, I was looking at these apartments. And so they said that they didn't have any units available. And so I was going back and forth with them. And so um, luckily, these units, a unit had opened up for me to where I can achieve one right around the time at the end of April. So it was perfect. So one night, me and him went downtown, Las Vegas, to get some fish. We go down there, I get a separate order. He gets an order for his family. He gets back, he puts all of the fish in the kitchen. His wife and his daughter comes down. You know, one of her daughters. Her daughter comes down. They go through the fish. He says, hey, one of those bags is the eggs. All of a sudden, his wife goes off. Well, I'm just not gonna eat anymore. I'm just not gonna eat anymore. And I'm like, what the hell? Where's all this coming from? It's coming from conversations that she's had behind your back. That's where it's coming from. So he says, don't be like that. So he didn't agree with her response. And so I got out of the fields, I got out of the atmosphere. Hey, you can eat up all the fish. You can eat it all up. You know, I'll run up here and get me a burger before I deal with that. So I had to go to Walgreens. But before I left, he said, I apologize for that. I'm like, hey man, it's no big deal. I said, you know, every time I turn around, somebody is turning on me for no reason. So it's no big deal. I'm just gonna go up here to Walgreens. I'm gonna get what I need. I'll come back. So I come back. All of a sudden, I'm communicating with him and he gets real aggressive. Oh, this is my house and I'm running this and I'm running that. And I'm like, where did this come from? And so he said, we need to have a meeting. So we're meeting in this living room. He said, you know, I've been knowing you all my life. And you know I love you. But I'm gonna need you out of here. He said, I'm gonna move up your move out date until March the 25th. And I'm like, that throws everything off because this unit is not gonna be ready for me until April the 29th. That's when this unit's gonna be ready for me. You know, obviously he didn't care because March the 24th, he said, you know what tomorrow is, right? And I'm like, yeah, what? He said, I need you out of here in the morning. So luckily, 2 days before that, I went in, I got me a storage area, you know, because I'm trying to relieve the visual stress so that when his wife walks through the garage, it won't stress her so much because of my belongings. So I got me, and I just felt like something was coming. I felt like something was coming. So I got me a storage area. And when he said, you know what tomorrow is? And I'm like, okay, well, when do you want me out? He said, in the morning. I'm like, oh, okay. See, I'm not an emotional dude, so you can raise your voice at me all you want to. You're not gonna get a reaction out of it. You're gonna get a response out of it. The only time you're gonna get a reaction is if you try to get physical with me, and that's not a good idea for anyone coming towards me. That's not a good idea because I don't have no compassion when it comes to fighting another human being. I will fucking kill you. If you come at me the wrong way, bro, you out here. And so when everybody was asleep, I packed my stuff and I left. So in the process, I had to wait longer than April because I was sleeping in my vehicle. And so I had to spend the money that I was saving up in order to survive. So I was put in a position to where you either starve to death or you wait a little longer. So someone got the unit because I wasn't able to get it because of what was going on with me. And so I kept going back and forth. I kept living outside of my car, spending a whole lot of extra money on gas and food and everything, trying to locate shade out here in Las Vegas because if you are sleeping in your vehicle out here in the desert of Las Vegas, there's a very good chance that you won't wake up because you would die from a heat stroke, and you would die from a heat stroke in your sleep. And so by me loving my sons too much, I didn't want to go out like that. I want to live to see my sons. And I didn't want my sons getting information back that their dad died in his vehicle because he died of a heat stroke because he was living out of his vehicle. Now, most people may ask, how come you couldn't go live with them? Well, it was because their mother has got this animosity towards me, even though I took her off the street 3 times, and one time was with her boyfriend. So obviously she's still upset that we broke up, and this was back in I believe it was 93. I accept that. So until then, I was sleeping in my car. I was getting like 1 to 2 hours to 3 hours sleep every day, and really wasn't a lot of sleep. And then I would just use the restroom at the storage area to clean up, make myself look presentable to my job. Then I would go there. Then I would go to the job, and I would do security on the buses all night. And then when I would get off in the morning, I would repeat that same cycle. And so eventually, when this unit opened up, I got the unit, I moved in, and here I am. But the whole issue is there is no help but self-help. It's called being responsible. Because when it all boils down to, nobody loves you like you love yourself. A sign of not loving yourself is depending upon someone else to help you. This is what I've learned. Trusting that people will be there for you, regardless of because of how long you've known them. Life will reveal to you that it doesn't matter how long you've been knowing anybody. When they start a new life, no matter what it is, whether it's marriage or whatever the case may be, that is not the same person who you grew up with, because people change. But the whole thing is, after all of those experiences, are you still able to love? Are you still able to love? Or are you able to move on with your life and not hold any hate or any animosity? Because if you own any hate or any animosity after going through that with people, you have not matured. You did not utilize your wisdom based upon your personal conclusion of the entire ordeal. And you're no different than them. What I've learned is when it says, suffer it be so. I understand what Yeshua means now. Suffer it, be so. Suffer it. Go through it. It's going to be hard, but suffer it. Suffer it all the way and accept the fact that this is your reality. Suffer it, be so. Be so. This is your reality. So suffer it. Don't ask anyone for help. I'm trying to mature you. And through maturity comes clarity. Comes clarity, becomes strength. But in your conclusion, do you feel any animosity? Do you feel any hatred? What is it that you feel? I'm grateful for the trial. I'm grateful for what I've learned. And I'm grateful for everything, despite who I felt disappointed me, who I felt betrayed me. I suffered it all the way through. And here I am today. I'm at peace. Now, the other night, which was last night, you might say, my body, after so long from Georgia all the way to the current, which was last night, my body all of a sudden shut completely down. Now, the last time my body shut off like that was back in 2014, February the 10th, when I had my motorcycle accident. When I was riding my motorcycle accident, my body shut down because I was going through so much at my job, and I was in a real emotionally and psychologically violent relationship. And so I was tremendously stressed. And so while I was riding, my body shut off. Now, last night, my body, while I was sitting up watching something, my body just said, hey, you need to go lay down right now because you're very close to passing out. And so I crawled in my bed. You must have said I crawled in my bed, and I went to sleep. And so I found out something about myself. When I was sleeping, every time that I got up and I went to the restroom, I would always check my cell phone to see what time it was. And every time I looked at my cell phone, my thoughts would say, okay, that's enough sleep, I'm gonna get up. But when I would lay back, I felt this weight on me, which I know was the spirit of the Creator telling me, no, go back to sleep. You need to rest. You need to rest. And so I slept the entire day. And I haven't felt so refreshed in my life after so many years, since Georgia all the way up to the moon. So the lesson of this video is I want everyone to know, help yourself. Be responsible. Like Sir Krishnamurti said, be responsible. It means responding adequately to every challenge. My challenge was to get me a place to live, even though someone disappointed me and put me in the position to where what I lined up was brutally interrupted a month early. And so simply because it was so interrupted, I ended up having to sleep in my vehicle. Now, even though I was grateful for that, because there are some people who don't have vehicles to sleep in, I still was able to move around. I still was able to take care of Brother Sonny Liston's grave. I was still able to do things, even on my off days, like go to the gym and go take my walks. And even then, all I felt was disappointment, but I didn't feel any hate. So all at the same time when I was going through that, it was still a study of self. So there are some things you're just gonna have to understand in your life, that if you really want to follow that man's example, and if you really want to know what suffer it be so really means, prepare yourself, because you will find out. And at the moment, it's not going to feel pleasant. Tell you the truth, it's not supposed to feel pleasant. This is the reason why he says, suffer it be so. Suffering it be so implies something that you have to go through that is against your own current pleasing. But you're going to have to suffer that and go through it so that you will be raised up to a higher level of maturity and enlightenment. So with that being said, I think I'm just going to cut it short here. I was going to go into my last video, but I'm just going to leave that as a part 2. But this did have something to do with what the church is going to have to understand when the scripture says God is going to judge you first. It means right now that you are in error. And if you do not want to be judged first before the governments of the world, then you have to turn from your wicked ways. You already have the message. You already have the example. God is not going to turn you. Jesus is not going to come back to you, and he's not going to go to a church without a spot or wrinkle, because there ain't no such thing like this song that y'all be saying. God's coming back to a church without a spot or wrinkle. No such place. So that's going to be pretty much my next video. It's not going to be too long, but just wanted to share that with everybody. But just to let you know, suffer it be so. And understand, in some situations, there is no help but self-help. And I would advise everybody to, no matter what you go through in life, don't look for anyone to help you at all. I don't care what situation you're in. Don't allow, even if they suggest, no, I would do it myself. I would do it myself. And damn sure don't allow anyone to move you in their environment, because it's only a matter of time before you become betrayed. So with all that being said, I want everyone to have a very pleasant evening. And those who were interested in this, I thank you for listening. And everyone have a good night. And everyone stay human, like I always say. Hello again. I didn't expect this, but there was some, I'm just speaking on the response to my last video, Suffer It Be So, for there is no help but self-help. And I thank you for the responses, because I had mentioned that that is what I learned. Now, my lessons
in life is not the lessons in life. My lessons in life, I'm just sharing what I've, and of course, basically, I'm not talking of everyone, talking about what I do. Now, I'm not looking at, I'm not here to assert that everyone is going to suffer and come to the same conclusion that I did. I'm just sharing what I know. That's it. And if you're fortunate enough to have people in your life that you're able to trust with, good for you. Good for you. There was a question by someone that says, what do you think the issue was with your friend's wife? Well, when I was staying there, see what it was is that the car that I presently have, it's a Mercedes-Benz. It's like a 2006 Mercedes-Benz, and it's a beautiful car. It's in very good shape, and I take care of the car a lot. Previously, it was her car. Now, formerly, my friend and his wife had to move to Texas and stay out there for 1 year because of they needed to get their Section 8 out of Texas so that they could move back here. And so they had 2 or 3 vehicles, but I'm only able to count 2 that they had. So one was his car and one was his wife's car. The car that I'm driving right now used to belong to his wife. And so he decided to drive his car back to Texas instead of hers. And so what happened was they decided to sell the car. And so he told her, well, DA needs a car, so why don't you sell the car to him? And so they sold the car to me. And the reason why I bring that up is because numerous times she would tell me how much she missed the vehicle, and therefore how much she wished that she still had the vehicle, because I take care of it better than she did. I'm always keeping my vehicles clean and looking nice and everything. But I always knew that she didn't want to let the vehicle go. It was the circumstances that they were in. And I had even told him that once I get on my feet and I get me another vehicle, I was going to give her that car back with the title and everything. I was going to wait for her birthday. Now, I paid $1,200 for the car, which was a phenomenal deal. But, to pay that less for a Mercedes-Benz is unheard of. However, I thought that keeping the car in the family would be sufficient, because as I told him, I said, what I'm going to do, I said, once I get a car, because I was going to get either a Benz 2007 or 8, because I like those models. Those models still look like Mercedes-Benz, and those have sunroofs. But because it was him and his wife, I was going to give her that car back on her birthday. And so when she would tell me how much she missed the car, she can't stand seeing the car, and And she's told me one time she was on the phone with one of her friends and she has to suffer to see the car every day. A lot of times I felt like that was the reason why all of a sudden she had this zeal for me and against me. But little that she knew, and I'm not saying this, to make anybody feel stupid or guilty or anything like that. But before all of that transpired, I told him that I'm going to give her that car back because it was against her wishes, because she just got caught in a very bad circumstances and she had to do what she felt she had to do. And so by my not having a vehicle at the time, this is the reason why he asked me, hey, that Benz that we have, do you want to buy it? Because I can only drive one car to Texas. And I told him yes. I told him yes because I needed a vehicle. And so that's how that transpired. But it's a shame that things went like that. But like I say, I don't have any animosity, because it was tremendous what I had to go through. But when you have a clear understanding of everything and anything that'll bring you closer to the facts and the Creator itself, the confidence that I have now with the Creator, you can't put a price on that. You can't put a price on it. But it just goes to show you how getting attached to material things sometimes compromises our moral standards against human beings. So it's just a shame, and a lot of us brothers, I can't speak for myself because I was never crazy enough to get married, but a lot of brothers out there believe in that myth, and I'm going to call it a myth. Happy wife, happy life. Happy spouse, happy house. That's coming from a man who's compromising his own morals and his own happiness for the sake of another woman. Personally, if you're not happy, that's you. I used to date this woman just for a little while, and she was the, I won't say ex-wife of the Whispers, but she was married to the lead singer of the group, The Whispers. Beautiful, beautiful sister. But all at the same time, she was still mourning her husband's death. And I think that he was, I'm not certain, but I think that he was, had passed on, I think it was like 10 years, and it takes some people longer to get over their spouse. And I would say I understand that, but I don't know what it means because I've never been through it. And so when I was dating her, she was telling me, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. And so I told her, I said, which implies you're not happy now. She said, no, I'm not happy. I'm looking for somebody to make me happy. And I told her, I'm not the right guy for you because I'm not going to do anything to make you happy. If you are not happy with yourself, you will not be able to be happy with anyone else, even if they're happy. You won't be compatible with that particular person because you're not happy and he is. If a person is happy with themselves, at peace with themselves, whether male or female, otherwise, There is no compatibility. The only thing that you're going to have in common is the same thing her and I had in common. We liked sleeping together. It was just sex. And so, due to the fact that she wasn't happy with herself, she struck out in many forms, and then she attacked my writing. She criticized my writing. And I don't mind criticism, constructive criticism. But once you start mocking what is dear to me, I drop you right away. I don't care how beautiful you are. I can't have you around me. If you want to be in my life, you're not going to mock anything that I hold dear. I had a father like that. No matter what I did, he condemned it. He mocked it. My 2 sons' mother, she was the same way. You can't do anything right with people like that. So I left it be, and I sent her on her way. But the whole situation was, he wanted to make her happy. He's in the position to where his presence is just there, but he has very little, if not any say-so in what transpires. No one cared about how that was going to inconvenience me. And when I was first asked, what are you going to do? I did not ask them, can I come there and stay? I said, I have a car, bro. I'm going to sleep in my car. I was willing to suffer through that until I got on my feet. They said, you can come here because you're always here for us and everything. So, anytime he needs you, you're there. Hey, that's my big bro. I'm going to be there. I'd take a bullet for that man. I would take a bullet for him. I would take a bullet for him today. And the reason why I still love him is because I know that the decision was not his own. So that's pretty much it. This is a very short response, but that's pretty much all it was. I think there was a collaboration, going on of the reason why I was manipulated out, but that's fine because I survived it, and I learned a valuable lesson in all of this. And so that's pretty much it. And that's this. I want to move on from this. I mean, even though I'm kind enough to give a response videos, but due to the fact that this man and even his wife means so much to me, I don't want to elaborate on this too long because I'm just sharing the lesson that I got out of it. And I'm just going to let the creator deal with the rest. But like I say, there was one more question. How has that affected our relationship? Well, it's affected our relationship because in a limited way, because due to the fact of how it was handled, without my doing anything, I have to limit myself. I have to limit my presence. I have to limit my involvement. I have to limit everything, so, and that's just the way I feel about it, because I can't put my peace of mind at risk trying to repair a wound that I didn't inflict. So with that being said, I have to start getting ready because I have to go in work tonight. But this is all I have to say about it. And I appreciate everyone's attention who gave the previous video some attention. And so, but one more question. How did it affect you physically? Well, I gained weight. I've gained about 10 or 15 pounds. But I'm working to get all of that off. That's really easy. I'll just get back in the boxing gym. You know, is you know what I noticed, it was an up and down process, because when I would go to the gym about 3 times a week, I would get in there and spar, and then only getting about 1, 2, or 3 hours of sleep. The next day, I wasn't able to go to the gym. And so my weight was fluctuating like this. It was going up and down, up and down, up and down. And so now that I'm in a stable environment, I plan on losing about 20 pounds and getting back down to my normal weight, which is between 175 and 185. But thank you for asking, because that keeps me on my toes. Keep me on my toes. Okay, everyone, I appreciate you, but I just wanted to share with you what I went through. And like I said before, I'm a very transparent person, and I talk about things that go on with me where most people wouldn't dare tell the public, because they are pretty much slaves to the public. Well, I don't want nobody to think this. I don't want nobody to say that. I'm in control of my emotions. I'm in control of my thinking. I'm in control. I don't really care what people say. It doesn't mean anything. I don't care. I know that I'm dealing with human beings, and so that's a human factor. I mean, you're gonna always have people that's gonna say sarcastic and crazy things, especially in our community. You know, the Black community. I mean, especially there. You talking about Black folks? Yes, I'm talking about you. Yes, I am. And so with all of that being said, I have to start getting ready for work. And so, as I always say, everyone stay human, and y'all have a good night. Peace.